Everybody, it's Leeroy from Leeroy Gaming, and today I'm bringing you my subclass guide for the Wildheart Barbarian. In this video, we will take a look at the character at level 1. I will show you a full level 1 to 12 progression for the Wildheart Barbarian. And towards the end, I will also talk to you about some general recommendations for gear, as well as multi-classing potential for the class. With that being said, and without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the Wildheart Barbarian. Alright guys, for beginners at level 1, important things to note about the Barbarian in general is their primary ability is Strength. Their saving throw proficiencies are in Strength and Constitution. They have a hit dice of 1d12, meaning they have the most health of any class per level in the game. And they do start with proficiency of simple weapons, martial weapons, light armor, medium armor, and shields. You're going to have an option to optimally play with either medium armor, or there is going to be a way where you can play with no armor because of one of their passives. Now, stat-wise, I recommend, if you are going to be using medium armor, to go with 16 strength, 14 dexterity, 16 constitution, 8 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and 8 charisma. If you are going to be going for the unarmored barbarian, you might benefit from dropping wisdom to 10 just to bump up the dexterity to 15, and then you're going to be able to bump it up to 16 when you hit level 4 to get you a little extra AC and an extra saving throw proficiency. I will mention that at level 4 when we get there. Now, as core features of your class, you are going to get Raging, which is going to let you do more damage while you rage with melee weapons and improvised weapons, also with thrown objects. During this time baseline, you also have resistance to physical damage, an advantage on strength checks and saving throws. You're going to be able to do this numerous times before you long rest. You're going to get more of these treasures as you level up. This is a bonus action to get into this, and it lasts for 10 rounds. But do note, it will end early if you haven't been attacked or you do not attack an enemy within the last turn. So kind of going passive is going to disable this. Very, very important, the fact that you cannot cast or concentrate on spells while raging. So even though you could cast a spell that has concentration at the beginning of combat, if you then enable rage, that will automatically get disabled. So important to keep that in mind. The other class features unarmored defense. So if you're not wearing any armor, you add your constitution modifier to your armor class in addition to your dex modifier. So it is a viable way of playing, but do keep that in mind. It also notes here that if you ever wear heavy armor, you will not be able to rage. So you're going to want to stick to medium or no armor options here. Now at level 2, you're going to be getting Danger Sense, which gives you an advantage on dexterity saving throws against traps, spells, and surfaces. It does note here that you cannot be blinded or incapacitated for this to take effect. And you're also going to get your Reckless Attack. So until your next turn, you have advantage on attack rolls, but enemies also have advantage against you. So high risk reward, you can utilize this or not utilize this on a turn-to-turn basis. At level 3, you're going to get to pick your subclass, and again here we're going to pick Wildheart. You're going to get to rage additional times per long rest, and you're also going to get the Speak with Animals spell, which basically works as a ritual spell that you can cast for free, and then it's going to stay on you until a long rest. Very useful for taking advantage of fun conversations of animals. You're also going to get to pick your bestial heart. There are 5. Bear Heart, so while raging you can use Unrelenting Ferocity and have resistance to all damage except psychic damage. This is my highest recommendation of all of them. And Unrelenting Ferocity is basically a heal, as you can see here. It's 1d8 +3 in this case. It's based off your Constitution modifier and can only be used once per rage. The alternatives are Eagle Heart. While raging, you can use Divine Strike, which is leap down onto a foe, knocking them prone. You won't take fall damage. You must be above your target, requires rage. And also, foes also have disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you, and you can use dash as a bonus action. Elkhart, while raging, you can use Primal Stampede, and your movement speed is increased by 4.5 meters. Primal Stampede is an attack. You charge forward, attacking all enemies in a way and possibly knocking them prone. Tiger Strike, or Tiger Heart rather. While raging, you can use Tiger's Bloodlust, and your jumping distance increased by 4.5 meters. Tiger's Bloodlust is a weapon action. You lash out to attack up to 3 enemies at once and make them bleed. And Wildheart. While raging, you can use Inciting Howl, and your allies have advantage on melee attack rolls against enemies within 2 meters of you. Inciting Howl. Each ally within earshot can move on an additional 3 meters during their next turn. So you pick whichever one you want. You'll have a chance to pick it out, pick different options later. You can also change your appearance by adding specific piercings, or you can choose not to. At level 4, you do have a option to change your Bestial Heart if you like, and you also do have a chance to pick a feat. Again, ability improvements are never bad. I do want to point out that if you chose to go with a 15 dexterity setup, because you're going to go with a setup where you're not going to be wearing armor, what you can pick up that is very useful is you can pick resilience, or resilient rather. You can up your dexterity by 1. This, if you had it at 15, would bring you up to 16, give you an extra AC point. And very importantly, you're gonna get proficiency in dexterity saving throws. So it's gonna help you dodge out of effects much more effectively. So that's a nice way of now having not only Constitution proficiency but also dexterity proficiency with this, and bringing it to 16 dexterity and 16 Constitution. Again, I recommend that if you're gonna go with unarmored as opposed to the medium armor setup. Alternatively, top recommendations for this build outside of ability improvements are going to be Great Weapon Master. You can read the description here, but basically when you crit or kill enemies, you're going to get a bonus attack, and then you can get an extra 10 damage at the cost of -5 to your attack rolls for big damage potential. This is very, very effective on the Barbarian if you go with a two-handed setup. I can also highly recommend Savage Attacker. And if you decide to go with Polearms, Polearm Master is wonderful as well. So you can pick any of those as you level up from at level 8 and at level 12. Lucky is also a good option, but generally speaking, I would probably pick ability improvement scores for this class, and then maybe Great Weapon Master. At level 5, you're going to have another opportunity to change your Bestial Heart if you want. You're going to get an extra attack, and you're also going to get fast movement, where movement speed is increased by 3 meters while not wearing heavy armor. At level 6, you can change your Bestial Heart again, but more importantly, you're going to get the ability to add an additional aspect. You also will get an additional rage charge. But as far as the animal aspects go, so the aspect of the bear is going to make it so your carrying capacity is doubled, and you have advantage on strength checks. I don't find this very useful. Aspect of the bear, chimpanzee. Aspect of the chimpanzee grants you nimble mischievousness. You gain resistance and falling damage, and throwing camp supplies blinds targets. Again, I don't know if this is the most effective way of using camp supplies, which are pretty expensive. Then the crocodile aspect, your movement speed increases by 3 meters while standing in water-based surfaces. On slippery surfaces, you also have advantage in saving throws against being knocked prone. Again, very situational, don't recommend it personally. The eagle, you can see in the dark up to 12 meters and have advantage on perception checks. While advantage in perception checks is good. Most characters will already have dark vision, or most races that people tend to pick, but that's up to you. If you pick the different race, this might be useful. Aspect of the elk. You can use aspect of the elk, giving yourself and nearby allies extra movement speed, and specifically it's 1.5 bonus movement speed. That's okay. The aspect of the honey badger, you'd think that the descriptor just said that you don't give an F, but if you're poisoned, frightened, or charmed at the start of your turn, you have a 50% chance to become raging without expanding a rage charge. So this really is only helpful if you don't immediately rage at the beginning of your combat, and then one of these effects has to impact you. So that's a little tough to figure out. I mean, I guess unless you wanted to poison yourself, that could be. Aspect of the stallion. Dashing grants you temporary hit points equal to twice your level. That's okay. Aspect of the tiger. You add an additional strength modifier to attack rolls against bleeding or poison targets and gain proficiency in survival. So the extra 2 hits kind of interesting here, but again, you have to make sure they're either bleeding or poison first, so that's a little tricky, especially since things tend to die pretty quickly here in this game. And an aspect of the wolf, you gain proficiency in stealth and can use aspect of the wolf, and that is you and nearby allies add your dexterity modifier as a bonus to stealth check. So if you want to do a kind of a group stealth or stealth group setup, then this could be useful. And then finally, aspect of the wolverine. When you attack a bleeding or poison target, you also maim them for a turn. And maim is movement speed is reduced to 0, and they have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. At level 7, you can change your bestial heart if you wish. And then you get a class feature called Feral Instinct. You gain a +3 bonus to initiative and can't be surprised. At level 8, you can change your bestial heart again, and you get the subclass feature Land Stride, difficult terrain. You become an expert moving through the wilderness. Your difficult terrain no longer slows you down, and you can again pick a feat of your choice. At level 9, again you can change your bestial heart, and a class feature Brutal Critical is added. When you land a critical hit, you'll roll an extra damage die as well as the normal additional critical dice. So just adding more damage when you critical. At level 10, you can change your bestial heart again, and you do get to add one more animal aspect from the list that we reviewed earlier. At level 11, you can change your bestial heart again if you wish, and you get Relentless Rage. Once per short rest, if you drop to 0 hit points while enraged, you regain 1 hit point instead of being downed. So this is quite helpful. It's like an extra life effect, similar to how orcs have a very similar natural racial. And then level 12, you can again change your bestial heart if you like. You get to rage one more time between long rests, and you get to select one more feat. Now when it comes to equipment recommendations, it's pretty simple with barbarians. If you're going to go with medium armor, then get the best possible medium armor you can. There's a whole line of medium armors that actually do not have any penalties or limitations on your dexterity. Those are pretty good. You can get them throughout the game. If you are going to be going unarmored, then obviously there are specific quote-unquote kind of clothing outfits that will benefit barbarians. You'll find them throughout the game, and they may actually give you various effects, especially while you're raging. So keep an eye out for those. I recommend the biggest two-handed weapon you can to do maximum damage. Definitely take advantage of Reckless Assault so that you can maximize your damage. And if you're gonna get Great Weapon Fighter, make sure you have Great Weapon Master rather have that enabled. Combined with the Reckless Assault, it's going to help maximize damage. If you are going to go for Polearm Master, then obviously finding a nice big two-handed polearm is going to be a benefit as well. When it comes to multiclassing potential, I find that barbarians are really good for multiclassing. You are going to get the most benefit from them in their first 3 levels. So normally, if I do include a barbarian as a multiclass, I will go for 3 levels, pick the subclass depending on what I'm building for. After that, while there are some good benefits, there isn't nearly as big of a power spike as you do get just from picking the class and getting those first 3 levels and their effects. So do keep in mind that if you are going to be multi-classing in or out of Barbarian, that while you rage, you cannot cast or concentrate on spells while raging. You can cast spells beforehand, but if they do require a concentration check, you will not be able to maintain that. So keep that in mind for multi-classing. Alright guys, that's everything for you here when it comes to the Wildheart Barbarian. Hope you found this helpful. If you did, do drop a like. Leave me any comments of any feedback on the process, or if you have any questions about this class and subclass, I'll do my best to answer in the comments. And as always, thank you for all the support. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more from me. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.